You have everything you should want: a good job, a nice apartment, a stable relationship, financial security. On paper, you're winning. But inside, you feel strange in your own life, as if you were living someone else's script, and you don't remember when you stopped being you and started being this. This is Beatrice's story. At 38, she looked at her own life and didn't recognize anything. The career she worked 10 years to build, she hated it. The relationship she fought to maintain, empty. The apartment she decorated perfectly, it looked like a hotel. You've built a life that seems perfect, but it feels like a prison. And the worst part? You can't even explain why, because nothing is technically wrong. Everything just seems wrong. This is about the terrifying moment when you realize this isn't my life, and I don't know whose it is. Have you stopped recognizing yourself? Let's figure out how to find you again. If you look at your life and don't recognize anything, sign up now. Here we talk about mental health without romanticizing it and without lying to you. Beatrice's journey could be the map you need. Beatrice was 38 years old when she realized it. She was driving to work, like every day, same route, same time, same song on the radio. And suddenly she thought, who chose this? This career, this path, this routine? She didn't remember choosing it. She remembered accepting it. A law degree because her father was a lawyer, an office because it was safe, a promotion because it was the next step. But her? Where was she in all these choices? She wasn't there. She never had been. You build the life you should want, not the life you desire. And it took her 38 years to realize. Beatrice pulled over. She started to cry, not from sadness, from terror. Terror at having wasted 15 years building the wrong life. And now, how does she undo it? How does she rebuild it? Or is it already too late? Beatrice's life on paper was perfect. Partner in a law firm, 6-figure salary, apartment in an upscale neighborhood, boyfriend for 5 years, stable, reliable, annoying, but stable. Friends she saw once a month, superficial conversations. How's work? Great. And Felipe? Great. Everything great, everything empty. Beatrice woke up at 6 a.m. Gym she hated, work that drained her soul. Rushed lunch, more work, home at 9 p.m., dinner with Felipe, series she didn't pay attention to, bed. Repeat. Every day, for years. And nobody saw a problem, because on paper, everything was fine. But Beatrice felt it. Something was rotten, deeply rotten, and she couldn't name it. Until that day, driving, crying, realizing this isn't my life. I didn't choose this. I accepted it, and now I'm trapped. Beatrice started asking questions. Questions she had never asked before. Do I like law? No. Did I always want to do this? No. Then why? Because my father wanted it. Because it was safe. Because it pays well. Because it was expected. External expectations turned into internal life, and you disappeared in the process. Do I love Felipe? Long pause. I don't know. And that terrified her even more. 5 years with someone and not knowing if she loves him, because she never stopped to feel. She just followed the script. Dating, upcoming marriage, children, retirement, death. Predictable script. Safe. Dead. Did I choose my friends? No. They were Felipe's friends or work colleagues, convenient people, not people she connected with. Did I choose where I live? No. She chose an upscale neighborhood, not a place she loved. Nothing in her life was truly hers. Everything was an approved version, approved by her parents, by society, by expectations, but not by herself. Beatrice spent the week in silent crisis. No one noticed. She went to work, she smiled, she functioned. But inside, she was crumbling, questioning everything, every choice, every path, and always arriving at the same conclusion. I didn't choose anything. I just accepted what was put in front of me, and I built a beautiful prison, but a prison nonetheless. Perhaps you are exactly where Beatrice was, A life that seems right but feels wrong, and you don't know what to do because tearing everything down seems like madness, but continuing to live like this feels like a slow death, and you're trapped between two impossibilities: destroy everything or die inside. And there's no good choice, only the least bad choice. And Beatrice needed to do it before there was nothing left to save, not even life, not even herself. Beatrice scheduled therapy. First time in years. The therapist asked for something simple. Make a list, 2 columns. Column 1, what you chose. Column 2, what was imposed or accepted for convenience. Beatrice did it. It took 2 days, and the result was devastating. Column 1 was almost empty. Column 2 was full. Career? Column 2. Relationship? Column 2. Apartment? Column 2. Friends? Column 2. Routine? Column 2. Hobbies? She didn't have any. What was in column 1? I like coffee. I like to read. I like being alone. 3 things. 3. In 38 years of life. 3 things that were truly hers. The rest was constructed. You are not the master of your own life. You are a tenant. The therapist explained, this is called a false self. You've built a version of yourself that is acceptable, functional, approved, but it's not real. And the real self, the true self, is buried and screaming to get out. Beatrice cried, how did I let this happen? It happens slowly, one concession at a time. A yes when you wanted to say no. A choice based on fear, not desire, until you have a whole life that isn't yours. This doesn't happen all at once. It happens in daily micro-betrayals. You betray yourself for safety, for approval, for convenience. And one day you wake up and you no longer know who you are. Beatrice needed to unearth who she was. But how? When you've spent decades burying something, how do you unearth it without destroying everything? The therapist gave her an exercise. For 1 week, pay attention to moments when you feel alive, not functional, alive. Write it down. Beatrice did it, and she discovered patterns. She felt alive when she read, when she was alone, when she walked aimlessly, when she wrote in the old diary she had abandoned years ago. Not in meetings, not with Felipe watching TV, not in the perfect apartment, but in small moments, alone, creating, moving. Now ask yourself, how can you have more of this? Beatrice looked at the list and felt panic, because having more of this meant having less of the rest. Less work, less Felipe, less certain life, more real life. And real life was frightening because it didn't come with guarantees. It didn't come with security. It came with uncertainty and risk and the possibility of failure. But it also came with the possibility of finally being you. Beatrice started small. She didn't give up everything. She began by reclaiming pieces. She woke up 30 minutes earlier. She read before the day began. Just her and the book. She started writing again. 10 minutes a day. Nothing profound, just pouring out thoughts. She started walking, alone, without headphones, without a destination, just walking. You don't need a big turnaround. You need a small movement, moving towards who you are, not who you should be. And Beatrice felt the difference. Small but real. 30 minutes of her own, every day, before living someone else's life. And those 30 minutes kept her sane. They reminded her, you still exist beneath all this construction. You're still here. Maybe you need to start like this. 30 minutes a day being yourself, before spending 23.5 hours being the approved version. It may seem like a small amount, but it's enough to start, to remember, to not completely forget who you are, while you decide what to do with the rest. Psychologists studied a phenomenon called self-discrepancy, the difference between who you are and who you portray yourself to be. They discovered that the greater the discrepancy, the greater the depression, anxiety, and sense of emptiness. They tested this with 1,000 people, asking them to describe who I am versus who I show myself to be. People with high discrepancy had a 70% higher chance of severe depression, 65% more anxiety, and an 80% greater feeling of meaninglessness in life. Beatrice had a massive discrepancy. Who she was, creative, introverted, a seeker of meaning. Who she portrayed, a corporate lawyer, sociable, focused on status. Living far from who you are kills you, slowly, but it kills you. It always kills you. Another important concept, cognitive dissonance. When your actions don't align with your values, the brain goes into conflict, and constant conflict generates chronic stress. Researchers measured cortisol levels in people living misaligned lives. Levels were equivalent to those in people experiencing constant trauma. Because it is trauma. Betraying who you are every day is self-inflicted trauma. Beatrice had this: high cortisol, insomnia, pain without cause, her body demanding payment. When you betray who you are, your body keeps a record, and it demands payment, with interest. And she was paying the price for years without knowing what for. Now she knew. She was paying the privilege of living the wrong life, and the price was her mental health, physical health, spiritual health, everything. There's also the concept of a quarter-life crisis and a midlife crisis. These aren't cliches. They're points in life where you question, is this it? They usually happen when you achieve what you should want and realize it doesn't satisfy you. Quarter life at 25 to 30, midlife at 45 to 50. Beatrice, at 38, was in the middle, and statistics show 60% of people in this phase report feeling like they're living the wrong life, but only 20% do something about it. Why? Because the fear of destroying a stable life is greater than the pain of living the wrong life, and so they continue until collapse, or death, or retirement, when it's too late to rebuild. Beatrice didn't want to wait. She was 38, maybe 40 years ahead of her. She wasn't going to spend them all pretending. But she also didn't know how to stop. Researchers also studied people who made radical changes. They quit their careers, they ended relationships, they moved to a different city, they started over from scratch. 2 years later, 75% reported best decision of their lives. 15% reported it was difficult but worth it. 10% regretted it. In other words, 90% did not regret having the courage to change. But before changing, 100% were afraid. Afraid of failing, of being alone, of not succeeding, of being judged. Fear is natural, but it's not prophetic. Beatrice was full of fear, but he was also certain that continuing like this wasn't an option. So there had to be change or collapse. And change, however frightening, was a choice. Collapse was surrender. And she wasn't going to give up, not after finding herself again. Even if only partially, she wasn't going to give up now. Beatrice didn't quit everything at once. She didn't make a dramatic change. She did something more difficult, a gradual change. She talked to her partners at the firm. I want to reduce my workload, work 4 days a week. They resisted. You're in the best phase of your career. You'll lose momentum. Beatrice took a breath. I've already lost something more important, myself, and I want to get it back. And she persevered. She succeeded. 4 days, 1 day off. You don't need a big turnaround. You need a small movement. 1 day, to begin, to do what she loved, to read, to write, to walk, to exist without a purpose, just to be. And that day saved her. It gave her space, to breathe, to remember, to not suffocate completely. Then she talked to Felipe. It was more difficult. I don't know if I still want this. Felipe was confused. What? This, us. Not because you're bad, but because I don't know if I chose you or if I just accepted you. Silence. Hard. Long. Felipe finally spoke. Do you want to break up? Beatrice, honestly, I don't know. I want a break. To discover who I am and if the person I am wants you, or if it was a false version of myself that accepted you. Brutal honesty hurts, but constant lying kills. Felipe didn't like it, but he understood. He left. They lived separately. 3 months. Beatrice alone. The first month was panic. Did I make a mistake? The second month was discovery. I like being alone. The third month was clarity. I don't love him. I never loved him. I only accepted it because it was safe. And it ended, for real. It hurt, but it set her free. Beatrice also began to question friendships. She scheduled individual coffee meetings with each person, and she asked real questions. Not, how's work going, but are you happy? What keeps you awake at night? When was the last time you felt alive? Most didn't know the answers. Conversations died, uncomfortable, and Beatrice realized these people weren't friends. They were acquaintances, convenient but not connected. She let them go, without guilt, and she looked for others, in places she loved, bookstores, reading clubs, writing courses, people who talked about real things, who felt, who questioned. When you change, your circle changes, because people who accepted the false version don't accept the real version. And that's okay. Better a few real ones than many fake ones. It always has been, it always will be. A year later, Beatrice's life was unrecognizable. She worked less, she earned less, but she lived more. She had real friends, few but deep. She lived in a smaller apartment, simpler, but it felt like home. She was single and happy, discovering who she was without needing to be someone's girlfriend. She wrote, without publishing, just for herself. She read, a lot. She walked, every day. And for the first time in 15 years, she woke up and recognized the person in the mirror. She wasn't perfect, she wasn't stable, she wasn't impressive on paper, but it was hers, real, true, alive. And Beatrice would cry sometimes, with relief, for having found it, for not having waited until it was too late, for having the courage, for dismantling the wrong life, and started building the right one. Slowly, one brick at a time, but right, finally right. Perhaps you are where Beatrice was a year ago, a life that seems perfect but feels wrong. You can change. You don't need to blow everything up, but you need to start, today, with 30 minutes of being yourself, and see what happens. Because continuing to pretend isn't an option, not if you want to be truly alive, not just functional. And you deserve to be alive, real, true, you, not an approved version, you. If you are experiencing a deep identity crisis and are considering self-harm, seek professional help. This video is a guide, not a substitute for therapy. Let's recap the identity inventory. 2 columns, what you chose versus what was imposed. Be honest, brutal. Career, relationship, friends, routine, city, hobbies. What is truly yours and what is being built? And when you see column 1 empty, don't panic. Take action. Small daily victories. 30 minutes of being yourself. Reading, creating, walking.